Look closely at the foundations of our greatest cities. Beneath the cobblestones and the modern pavement, a silent anomaly lingers. A pattern of architectural discrepancies that defies our standard understanding of history, as if the very earth once rose to swallow the secrets of a lost age. Observe the windows of these aging structures, half buried, severed by the rising tide of sediment. They stand as truncated remnants, mere slits in the stone, suggesting a sudden, overwhelming influx of earth that once reached far above the current street level. Examine the grand, ornate portals of the era's most prestigious estates. These majestic entrances, once meant to greet the sunlight, now serve as gateways to nothingness, terminating abruptly against a wall of packed, ancient debris. The architecture itself whispers of a lost grandeur, a forgotten era where these thresholds were meant to stand high above the ground. Observe the unsettling uniformity of the cobblestone paths. The very earth appears to have been leveled, a heavy shroud of sediment poured over the landscape, smoothing out the jagged scars of a much older, more complex topography. The streets we traverse are not the original terrain, but a manufactured crust, masking the true height of the world that once was. Look closely at the windows of these grand, classical structures. They sit awkwardly, severed by the pavement, as if the very ground rose to meet them in a single, violent surge. These architectural anomalies suggest a sudden, catastrophic shift, a moment where the horizon was rewritten, leaving the upper reaches of once proud edifices stranded above a newly formed street level. Search the lower levels of these stone monoliths, and you will find even more unsettling evidence. Massive, ornate portals, designed for the passage of many, now sit choked by the very earth they were meant to overlook. These are not mere basements, they are the remnants of a forgotten threshold, a doorway to an era that the modern world has simply paved over. Examine the stratigraphy of this sediment. These layers are unnaturally uniform, a sudden, massive accumulation of fine silt that lacks the slow, rhythmic build-up characteristic of natural geological time. It is a singular, catastrophic blanket of debris, a sudden burial that entombed entire urban landscapes beneath a heavy, suffocating layer of clay. Observe the structural inconsistencies. Ornate, classical facades stand frozen in a state of mid-emergence, their decorative cornices and heavy lintels abruptly truncated by the rising landscape. There is a profound, unsettling silence in these masonry relics, where the very foundations appear to have been consumed, leaving only the uppermost reaches of a forgotten era to pierce the surface. Beyond the broken masonry lies a deeper chronological fracture. We are confronted with a historical impossibility, monumental works of artistry that appear to predate the very tools and techniques recorded in our textbooks. This is more than a mere environmental shift, it is a disruption of our collective memory, a sudden erasure of a sophisticated era that seems to have been swallowed by the encroaching dust, leaving us to question the true lineage of our civilization. Peer beneath the current street level. Here the evidence is undeniable. Subterranean apertures, once grand entrances, now entombed under meters of sediment. This isn't mere erosion, it is a structural burial, a silent testament to a sudden, cataclysmic inundation that reshaped the very topography of our cities. Examine the composition of this strata. It is a uniform, suffocating blanket of fine-grained silt deposited with a speed that defies natural geological timelines. This layer does not speak of centuries of slow accumulation, but of a singular, violent event that smothered the works of a lost epoch, sealing the secrets of an era beneath a heavy, undisturbed shroud. Look closely at the foundations of the world's oldest cities. Here, architectural anomalies emerge: windows that terminate abruptly against the soil, and basement levels that were clearly designed to be grand sunlit entrances. These are not mere design choices, but scars of a landscape that was fundamentally altered, leaving behind a structural mismatch that defies the conventional textbooks of history. Observe the heavy, silty strata that coat the lower masonry. It is a silent, sedimentary shroud, a weight of earth that suggests a sudden, planetary-scale displacement. This layer does not merely cover the past, it smolders with the weight of a lost era, a period of time erased by a deluge of dust and debris that no one thought to record. Peer closer at the architectural anomalies. Beneath the current pavement, windows that once breathed the open air now sit entombed, their panes staring blankly from a subterranean depth. These are not mere decorative flourishes, they are the remnants of a streetscape that no longer exists, a phantom topography etched into the very stone of our cities. Trace the heavy sediment clinging to the base of these ancient foundations. This thick, suffocating layer of silt suggests a sudden geological upheaval, a massive deposition of earth that leveled the landscape in a single, catastrophic moment. It is a silent testament to a period of history that seems to have been physically overwritten by the very ground we tread upon. Observe the peculiar placement of the lower-level apertures. These windows, seemingly designed for a floor that no longer exists, stare out from beneath the pavement with a haunting, purposeless grace. They are architectural ghosts, remnants of a grander, lost elevation that defies our modern understanding of urban development. Scrutinize the masonry of these subsurface chambers. The precision of the stone cutting, the seamless integration of heavy granite blocks, and the sheer scale of these subterranean halls suggest a level of craftsmanship far beyond the era's documented capabilities. It is as if the earth itself was not a natural occurrence, but a sudden, heavy shroud draped over a finished civilization. Look closely at the street-level architecture of our oldest cities. You will find ornate windows and grand, decorative portals, now half submerged within the very pavement they were meant to grace. These are not simple basement apertures, but full-scale architectural features, trapped beneath a layer of sediment that appears to have risen inexorably over the course of human history. The sheer mass of the earth pressing against these structures is staggering. There is a heavy, suffocating stillness to these buried remnants, as if the very weight of the planet attempted to erase the evidence of their existence. We are peering into a grave of civilization, where the sheer magnitude of the debris defies the slow, natural processes we have been taught to believe in. Look closely at the windows of these grand, abandoned estates. They sit partially submerged, their ornate frames designed for light and air, not for burial. These are not mere basement apertures, they are the remnants of a primary floor, trapped beneath a layer of sediment that appeared with impossible speed. The architecture speaks of a grandeur that the official history books simply cannot account for. Observe the massive granite blocks that form the foundations of these structures. They are too substantial, too precisely carved to be mere subterranean supports. These heavy, decorative stones were meant to be seen to anchor the dignity of a civilization, yet they now serve as the boundary between our known reality and a forgotten era resting beneath a dense, unexplained stratum of silt and clay. Examine the architectural anomalies that defy logical urban planning. Windows and ornate portals, once meant to greet the passing pedestrian, now sit trapped halfway beneath the sediment. These functional openings, designed for light and air, were abruptly severed by a rising tide of debris, leaving behind a hauntingly preserved snapshot of a moment when the ground itself rose to claim the streets. Look closely at the strata of the earth itself. There is a profound silence in the geological layers, a void where centuries of human progress should be documented. It is as if a massive, singular event wiped the chronological slate clean, leaving only these buried remnants to testify to a history that the textbooks have simply forgotten to mention. Witness the architectural anomalies that defy modern logic. Observe the windows, partially submerged beneath the pavement, and the heavy, ornate masonry that sits inexplicably deep within the earth. These are not mere basements, they are the original ground floors, abandoned to the rising silt of an era we can barely comprehend. A profound silence hangs over these forgotten strata. It is as if a sudden, massive displacement occurred, a thickening of the landscape that swallowed the splendor of a lost age, leaving only these stone husks to guard secrets that the textbooks refuse to acknowledge. Observe the way the heavy masonry terminates abruptly against the earth, as if the soil itself rose in a singular, violent surge. These ornate, decorative cornices, meant to crown the heights of grand edifices, now sit trapped beneath the weight of centuries, peering out from a grave of silt and clay. Peer into the darkened apertures of these subterranean levels. Their window frames and ventilation grates sit embedded deep within the strata, relics of a period when these openings once looked out upon a horizon far above the current street level. It is an architectural impossibility, a structural anomaly that defies our modern understanding of urban development. Consider the sheer magnitude of such an event. We are talking about a global displacement of soil, a geological upheaval so vast it could swallow entire city blocks in a single, silent epoch. This isn't merely a layer of silt, it is a shroud, masking a forgotten chapter of human history that remains stubbornly hidden beneath our feet. Observe the silent evidence etched into our urban landscapes. Look at the windows that terminate abruptly against the sidewalk, or the heavy, decorative cornices that appear half submerged beneath the pavement. These architectural inconsistencies are not mere design choices, they are the physical remnants of a period when the very topography of our streets was fundamentally rewritten, leaving behind a structural record of an era we have yet to name. Consider the sheer scale of the displacement. It suggests a cataclysmic reshaping of the landscape, a moment where the strata of human history were violently interleaved with the sediment of the earth itself. We are looking at the scars of a forgotten upheaval, a period of tectonic or environmental instability so profound that it effectively erased the timeline of the builders who once walked these now submerged halls. Look closely at the masonry. These ornate grand foundations, carved with intricate flourishes, were never intended to meet the dirt. They sit entombed as if the ground rose up to swallow a completed masterpiece, leaving only the upper reaches of a lost era visible to our modern eyes. Observe the misplaced apertures, the windows now relegated to the darkness of a subterranean cellar. They stand as silent witnesses to a sudden, violent displacement, a geological anomaly that contradicts the slow, steady layers of history we were taught to believe in. Beneath the modern pavement lies a suffocating stratum of silt, a heavy, silent sediment that seems to have swallowed entire urban landscapes whole. We find ornate cornices and massive stone foundations, partially submerged in an earthen deluge that defies our established timelines. This is more than mere debris. It is a landscape of erasure, a silent, buried testament to a lost epoch. Observe the structural inconsistencies, windows that were never intended to be basements, and doorways that now lead directly into the dark, compacted earth. These architectural anomalies suggest a period of sudden, catastrophic accumulation, a moment where the very earth rose to meet the masonry, leaving us with a cityscape that feels fundamentally unfinished. A profound silence hangs over the historical record of this era. Where there should be detailed chronicles of construction and urban expansion, there is only a void, a gap in the timeline that defies conventional documentation. We are forced to look closer at the very sediment that swallowed the streets, seeking the lost truth hidden within the layers of a forgotten epoch. Behold the architectural scars left behind. Elaborate, ornate windows, once designed to greet the midday sun, now sit entombed halfway beneath the pavement. These masonry masterpieces, clearly intended as grand entrances, suggest a world that was not built from the ground up, but rather reclaimed by a sudden rising. Examine the foundations of these structures. They reveal a startling anomaly: finished, decorative masonry where there should only be rough, hewn support. This is not the work of mere basement construction, but the remains of a grander, more complete level, now hidden beneath an inexplicable accumulation of earth and debris. Across entire metropolitan landscapes, this same phenomenon persists. A uniform, suffocating layer of silt that seems to have swallowed entire stories whole. It is a geological impossibility, a sudden, massive displacement of Earth that defies our established chronicles of human progress and the steady march of time. Look closely at the architecture of the old world. Observe the windows that sit halfway submerged in the heavy soil, the basement levels that appear to be original ground floors. These structural anomalies suggest a sudden, violent reconfiguration of the very terrain we walk upon, leaving behind architectural vestiges that no longer make sense in our current timeline. Beneath the layers of sediment and urban sprawl, a silent testimony remains etched in stone. Each foundation, stripped of its true context, whispers of a period erased from our collective memory. We are walking atop the remnants of forgotten epochs, where the very base of our modern civilization rests upon the fragments of an age we no longer recognize. Behold the architectural discrepancies that defy standard chronologies. Grand entrances now reduced to cellar vents, and ornate windows half submerged beneath the contemporary sidewalk. These are not mere construction quirks, but structural scars left by a massive, terrestrial surge that reshaped the cityscape overnight, leaving the lower levels of a grander era entombed in silt and stone. Beneath the crust of modern paving, remnants of a sophisticated, forgotten era await discovery. Intricate, unrecognizable patterns etched into the foundation stones hint at a lost mastery, a forgotten civilastry whose very existence was erased by the sudden, overwhelming weight of the encroaching debris. Observe the windowless apertures, half submerged within the very earth they were once meant to overlook. These stone-framed openings, now trapped under heavy layers of sediment, suggest a grander architectural intent that defies our current understanding of urban development. It is as if the street level itself was forcibly relocated, leaving behind only the silent, sightless eyes of a buried past.